Hey there, church family. Reverend Joel Kershaw of the Brighton United Methodist Church coming at you from our beautiful sanctuary here in Brighton, Colorado. This is the week that we are preparing for our all-church conference, where we are going to be deciding the future of our congregation and its affiliation with the United Methodist Church. A lot has been shared already on email. My letters have gone out all of last week. There are 6 of those letters, and you can find those on our website if you're interested in more detail. This is the first of 3 videos that we're going to be rolling out this week here on YouTube to give you an opportunity to hear from me directly. Some people learn great as we read. Some people need a little bit of conversation, video, audio that can help. And so we're trying to get this information out in as many ways as we possibly can. So to that end, this is the first video in our series this week, helping to prepare us for the meeting on Sunday. First of all, just to make sure everybody knows, we are gathering for worship, as we usually do, this coming Sunday, February the 19th, at our 9:15 time slot. Our district superintendent will be here in attendance, and I will introduce him in the worship service. We are then going to have a youth brunch following our time here in worship. It's the third Sunday. The youth are going to be doing their brunch, so they're going to feed us. So we'll have lots of food on board. And then we'll turn our attention to the formal meeting, the all-church conference, to meet and decide on disaffiliation from the United Methodist Church. Now, to help us understand what that means, I sent in my first letter last week, you may have read, the actual motion that we are going to be voting on this coming Sunday. And I want to just read it for you. You'll see it on the screen. At a specially called church conference on the 19th day of February 2023, you will vote, I hereby vote for Brighton United Methodist Church to disaffiliate from the Mountain Sky Conference of the United Methodist Church, quote, for reasons of conscience regarding a change in the requirements and provisions of the Book of Discipline related to the practice of homosexuality or the ordination or marriage of self-avowed practicing homosexuals as resolved and adopted by the 2019 General Conference or the actions or inactions of its annual conference related to these issues which follow. So that's what we're voting on. Now, that probably seems about as clear as mud, and this video is going to hopefully help to clear that up just a little bit. I've had many questions about why this language, why are we voting on this? This makes it sound like if you vote for disaffiliation that you're sort of hateful. If you're against disaffiliation, then you're not hateful. That's not accurate. The problem is this language is required by the Book of Discipline. This is the motion that we will be considering, and it is directly related to the provision in the Book of Discipline under paragraph 2553, for those of you who like details. That is the paragraph that we are using to consider our disaffiliation from the Mountain Sky Conference. Now, this came up in the context of our 2019 special called General Conference in the United Methodist Church, where we were considering specifically the church's policies and procedures related to homosexuality in the church and its ministries. And that really affects the church in 3 key ways. There's the ordination of self-avowed practicing homosexuals. There is the solemnization, the presiding over same-sex weddings by clergy, and there is the hosting of same-sex weddings by our churches and facilities. Those are really the 3 key issues, and we were gathered in 2019 in St. Louis, Missouri to hammer that out. But before they did, they considered this motion to disaffiliate, knowing that there were people who were going to be upset no matter how the vote went, and they were right. Now, fast forward through almost 4 years of COVID-related delays to General Conference that was supposed to meet in 2020, if you can believe that. And we are here in this place left without an option except to potentially disaffiliate, but we have to use this paragraph. And this paragraph is a little confusing. So let me try to unpack it for you a little bit, right? The Book of Discipline, our rule book in the United Methodist Church, states some rather plain language that prohibits the ordination of self-avowed practicing homosexuals, prevents me as a clergy person and all my colleagues from presiding over same-sex weddings, and prevents us from using our church facilities to host same-sex weddings. That's in the Book of Discipline already. But our practice, so that's the church on paper, but our practice in the United Methodist Church has been very different. There are conferences that are completely ignoring those portions of the discipline. There are conferences that are kind of winking and nodding at people ignoring those portions of the discipline. There are some areas where it is still generally held to, but by and large, at least in the United States, the issues of sexuality are mostly ignored when it comes to what the discipline actually says. And that creates some problems for churches that are in a different place from that ignoring of the book of rules. So we might be in alignment with the book and out of alignment with the practice. And so it's very confusing. The part that is really on the hearts and minds of us as we bring this up as a vote this Sunday is the last line, right? We get lost in the changes about homosexuality and ordination in this petition, and it's really the last line that's important for us, right? The actions or inactions of its annual conference related to these issues which follow. As I said, we've got one church on paper, we've got another in practice. Our annual conference is practicing church in a way that is completely incompatible with the church we have on paper in the Book of Discipline. And that sort of inaction and action related to the disaffiliate or the parts of the discipline that address sexuality in the church is really the issue. Really what we have is the Wild West in the United Methodist Church right now. And what we're looking for is accountability. So we're looking at that last line, actions and inactions of its annual conference related to these issues which follow. If you're struggling with that, if you're struggling with the practice and it's not matching the Book of Discipline, then you might want to seriously consider disaffiliation. There are things coming in the United Methodist Church as more and more traditional clergy and churches leave the United Methodist Church. The likelihood that the Book of Discipline will change to reflect those practices is highly likely in the near future. We obviously can't guarantee it. We don't know exactly how it will change, but we know that the forces that have been preventing that change are going to be diminished, if not entirely removed, soon. So it is likely that the United Methodist Church will dramatically change, particularly on the issues of sexuality in the coming years. And the accountability will continue to be an issue. So let me put it to you plainly. What does our vote mean? Well, you have three options. If you're a member of our church and you vote, we're going to have another video that talks about all of that voting procedure in more detail. But for now, the three options that you have. The first is yes. What happens if I vote yes? If you vote yes to our motion on Sunday, February 19th, what you're saying is that you would like to see the Brighton United Methodist Church leave the United Methodist denomination for perhaps some other denomination. We don't know that yet, but for sure leave the United Methodist Church. That you are wanting to hold fast to the traditional view of marriage and to have some accountability around the issues of ordination and sexuality in the church. If that's you, then yes would be the way I would recommend you vote. Now, if you're really fine with the way the United Methodist Church is practicing with regard specifically to sexuality in the church, then you might consider wanting to stay in the United Methodist Church, expecting those changes and having that adapt to where you are. And that is an option as well. So if you vote no on our disaffiliation motion on Sunday, then you would be wanting to remain in the United Methodist Church, knowing that accountability has been difficult and that it is likely to change in the near future. Now, you do have another option. You can abstain. But I've been saying this in many situations, and I want to reiterate it here. If you abstain in this particular situation, you will be as good as voting no against disaffiliation. So you really have two options, but three ways to do it, if that makes sense. You can vote yes. That would mean you would like this congregation to leave the United Methodist Church and hold fast to those traditional principles. If you're voting no, then you'd like to stay in the United Methodist Church, regardless of how those policies might change in the future. And if you vote abstain, it is the same as voting no. So just be aware of that. And we'll have more explanation about that in our voting video. But those are your options. And I wanted to try and put it plainly because the language that we're voting on isn't particularly plain. Now, you might have some questions about that. If I vote yes, does that mean that I hate gay people and want homosexuals excluded from the church? Absolutely not. That is not the practice or the heart of this congregation. It's not my heart. I hope you know that. It is simply that we want to hold fast to the traditional principles that we see rooted in the biblical witness, and we want to hold fast to those traditions. But we will welcome and warmly embrace anybody who comes through our doors. Regardless of their lifestyles, regardless of what they're doing, we are going to welcome them and challenge them to lean into God and let God work in their lives to grow them in greater and greater sanctification, just as we expect of ourselves. That's the truth. Now, if we vote no, does that mean that you want to just fully embrace homosexuality? No, not necessarily. As I said, the book of discipline is clear, even if it's not enforced, where the church stands currently. And you might just feel like the pull away from the United Methodist Church is not enough to warrant that kind of dramatic change in the life of this congregation. Whatever the case is, I am imploring you as a member of our congregation to join us this week, if you haven't already, in deep and abiding prayer, leaning into God, engaging in your scriptures, spending time in worship, finding your way into the presence of God, asking the question, Lord, how are we to move forward? Where is this congregation to go? And then I want you to vote according to that. And I don't want you to worry about offending other people. No one will know what you voted, so unless you tell them, no one will know. I don't want you to worry about what I think or what I would like, because I am only one leader, and my time here is not forever. You need to make this choice. God has entrusted this choice to you as members of this congregation to decide where this church needs to go. Regardless, I know that God will provide wonderful and profound leaders to lead this congregation as it has in the past. I know that God will have its future and will make great things out of the potential that we have here. So come, prayed up, vote your conscience, vote how you feel you're discerning God's will for the churches. Follow that Holy Spirit and participate with us. If you have questions, as I've been saying throughout this process, reach out to me. I would love to be able to answer your questions, clarify anything that you have. So please reach out to me. My cell phone, 720-947-9399. My email address, revkershaw@gmail.com. You can reach us through the church as well. But ask your questions that we can get you the answers you need to discern how to move forward together. Okay? Thank you. Stay tuned. We're going to have 2 more videos coming up. One's going to be on voting procedures, and another one is going to be on what to expect when you get to the meeting and how that will be conducted. So tune in, and of course you can look on our YouTube our page here for all of the information that we've shared. All of our town hall meetings and other information is available as well. And our letters are still printed here at the church, and they are online on our website. So check that out. Get as much information as you can, pray it up, and join us this coming Sunday for worship and a big decision. Okay? Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and God bless you.